Alright, so this week, Wing Raiders is coming out, and I'm super excited for this personally because the Power Ranger archetype is going to be in here, and I really want to play that. This is like one of the few new decks that I've ever been interested in playing. I usually don't get that excited for new archetypes. So I think first thing we should do is just cover all the new Power Ranger cards. They're called Super Quantums, which is a pretty cool name, but we all know that they're really Power Rangers. That's just, they probably don't have the rights to that name. So this is the best one. This is blue, and it's the Stratos of the deck. So when this card is normal or special summoned, you add one Super Quant card from your deck to your hand, except itself. Also of note that this is a level 3 psychic monster, so you can play 3 emergency teleport to add to your consistency. And this can search for monsters or spells, so you can search for the field spell also. And also, all of them have grave effects. The grave effects in general are pretty bad, but they're there. They can help a little bit. So this one, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target up to 3 super quant cards in your graveyard. You can target itself. Just note that. Shuffle them into the deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, I mean, usually I try to keep at least one blue in my graveyard to recycle with red. Yeah. Then I usually try to shuffle the other ones back in, so they're in my deck, and I have access to them. This is good because sometimes you do kind of run out, but that's really about it. Like, I do run out of blues sometimes, but yeah, that's the main thing. And then the next one, we got the Red Ranger. So this one's level 5. Makes it a little bit awkward to summon it, but his effect helps. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. So that's nice. Your opponent doesn't even need to have monsters for you to do that. And you can use each one of the following effects each per turn. So this card is normal or special summon. You can target one super quant card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Usually, this is why you want a blue in your grave, so you can put it back in your hand with red. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one super quant monster in your graveyard, except red, special summon it. But it cannot activate its effects. So, since they can't use their effects, basically you're summoning them to use them for Exceed monsters. And for that effect, it's kind of nice to have a blue and a green in your grave. So sometimes you'll want to keep a green in there for the red also. Red does have the best grave effect. The green and blue grave effects suck, but red's grave effect is alright. And here we have green. Green's the worst one. You're basically playing this because you kind of have to. There aren't very many options. So this one's level 4. It's got the best level. They put the worst effect on the best level, of course. When this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon one super quant monster from your hand, which helps you get your red out if you already have monsters. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can discard one super quant card, draw one card. You can only use each effect once per turn. So the grave effect is only really useful if you're kind of clogging with too many cards in your hand. Too many, like if you have doubles of red or an extra green in your hand, you can pitch them to draw a card, try to get something better. And then non-ranger but on theme, we have Alpha 5 here. So once per turn, you can target one super quant monster you control. All face-up monsters you currently control become that monster's level. This helps a little bit. It's good off of if you summon something off of blue, or not off of blue, off of green. You can make green and the other monster the same level, whatever that is, 3, 4, or 5. But the main effect for this is you tribute this card, reveal 3 super quant monsters with different names from your deck. Your opponent randomly picks one, and you special summon that one, and you send the rest to the graveyard. You can only use that effect once per turn. So it definitely helps speed up the deck. You can get one monster in the field, and then potentially a red engrave to get red effect. Green and blue's effects aren't too good to hit off of this. Also of note, this is a level 1, so you can use 1 for 1 to summon it. That's it for the main deck monsters. And next, I'll look at the field spell. So I'm going to look at the first half of the field spell. The second half I'll cover later. It'll make sense. So the first effect, you discard one card, then target one super quantum monster you control. Special summon your extra deck one super quantal beast. Exceed monster with the same attribute as that monster you control by using it as Exceed material. So that's the first part. So basically, you only need one of each of these three here. There isn't a light that you can summon with that effect, but if you have one of any of these and nothing of a matching level, you basically just discard a card and then you use it as a one material Exceed summon, which is very helpful because the levels don't match. And basically you'll just play stuff that you can discard without losing too much card advantage, things that are okay to have in the graveyard. A lot of people I know play this kind of loose and fast, I guess is the way to put it. They'll like ditch all their cards to rank up all of these guys as fast as possible. I feel like that's not quite the best approach. I think it is good though to put like one on the field because the Exceed monsters by themselves are actually really good. So that's what I want to cover next. So I'm going to cover them in the same order. So first we get the blue Zord. I call them just the color and then Zord. So it's a generic level 3. This is the only one that's good generic speaking, by the way. So none of them can attack unless they have Exceed material. And then once per turn you can detach one material from this card, target one spell or trap card in the field, destroy it. So that is good in like any deck as a rank 3, generic speaking. I think this kind of replaces Alucard in a lot of decks, which is kind of ironic because Alucard got reprinted in the set. And then, even better, this effect can be activated during either player's turn if this has the Blue Ranger as Exceed material. And then in addition, once per turn you can detach one super quant monster from your hand or field to this card's Exceed material. That's handy to have, but not the most handy thing. It's kind of situational. But the fact that it's a quick effect is super helpful, and they're all quick effects. So if you're playing the deck, you're always going to have the correct ranger attached to material whenever you make these, essentially. So you basically just are making all of them as quick effects, which make them really good. If they're not quick effects, the other ones are kind of lackluster, but all three of them are really good if they're quick effects. It just puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. The next one is the Red Zord, going the Red Ranger, obviously. So this one's ranked 5. This one has the best stats, 2600 attack. This one, by the way, has 2800 defense. The attack is low, but still. So same effects as the other one. The unique effect for this is once per turn you can detach one Exceed material from this card, target one monster in the field, destroy it. So this is the most powerful one to have as a quick effect. If it's not a quick effect, just Bulbasaurus is straight up better. But this is really good to have as a quick effect. You have to destroy one of your opponent's monsters. And then the green one is the rank 4, and okay stats is kind of in the middle. And the same effects in the unique one is once per turn you can detach one Exceed material, target one other face-up monster in the field, change it to face-down defense position. So it's Book of Moon, Book of Moon is a good card. It's not as good anymore. This is especially good against Burning Abyss. I found it's kind of funny against Burning Abyss. Having an easily summonable Book of Moon. And then after that, I want to cover the field spell second effect that I skipped over earlier. So here's the field spell. So the second effect is you can send this card from the field zone to the graveyard and target 3 super quantal mech beast Exceed monsters with different names that you control or in your graveyard. So you have to target one of each of the 3. You have to have all 3. There's only 3. So you're a little bit limited in that sense. And then you special summon one super quantal mech king Great Magnus from your extra deck. If you do, attach the targeted monsters and materials to it as Exceed materials. So obviously this is most cost efficient if they're in your graveyard and your opponent has already wasted resources to deal with them. A lot of people I know turbo into Great Magnus using this card, but why do that when you can just special summon from the graveyard? All you really need is to have one on field with 2 materials attached, and then you have 5 materials under Great Magnus, which is really good. So here's the card that we're talking about. This is the Megazord. and this card is really, really good, and it's a very worthy boss monster. So it's a rank 12, which doesn't really matter. 3600 attack, and the effects are really good. So I'm going to skip over the first part and actually talk about the second half of it first. So this card gains these effects based on the number of X materials with different names attached to it. So what that means is to get to 6, you need to actually have one of each of the Rangers and one of each of the Zords, which is a little bit tricky to do. So if you have 2 or more, then once per turn during either player's main phase, you can detach 1 XP material from this card, shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. That doesn't target. So that's non-destruction, non-targeting removal that can be done on either player's turn. That already is really good on a 3600 attack monster. The second effect is the best one though. If it has 4 or more, it is unaffected by card effects, except for super quant cards. The main weakness, besides Kaiju's obviously, is that it can be affected by super quant cards, and these guys are generic, meaning that if they can make a generic 4 or generic 5, they can get around this. Well, assuming that they can dodge the quick effect, I guess. So they have to bait out your quick effect first. That's already pretty tough to do. And then 6 or more. This one I think is a little bit overkill. Your opponent cannot add cards from the deck to the hand by card effects, so it's a mistake, which is also really good. I think it's best to try to summon this with 5 different names, which is pretty easy to do. You just have to have 2 in your grave, 2 of the Zords, and the 3rd Zord on the field with respective Ranger attached, and then use the effect to attach a different Ranger. And if you have 5 or more, you can use the spin effect once, and then you also still have the protection even after you use the spin effect, which is nice. And then they put this effect first, but I think it makes sense to talk about it last. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 3 Super Quantum Mech Beast XC monsters with different names from your graveyard. So if your opponent does manage to deal with this, then you get to special summon these 3 guys back as chump blockers. And if you have another field spell, you can just bring out another one of these guys with 3 materials. So that's pretty good. It basically floats. The main downside is that these guys can't attack if they don't have materials. That's it for the Power Ranger archetype. There's also a trap, but the trap is garbage, so don't play it. And next, I want to cover the Phantom Knights. So these guys are all basically really good floaters that are trying to make rank 3s. So this is the best one. So the first effect is kind of pointless. These guys have better grave effects than on-field effects. Their on-field effects are kind of dumb. So if this card is in attack position, you can target 1 dark monster in the field, switch to defense position, and then that monster gets 800 attack defense until the end of the opponent's next turn. Yeah, I don't get that. But the reason it's good, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 the Phantom Knight card from your deck to your hand, except itself. You only use this effect once per turn. So it's the Rhoda, I guess, kind of. So you basically just make a rank 3 with this, and then when it's in the grave, you banish it, and then get whatever other one you would need. So pretty good. And then this is another one that has a really good floating effect. So a dark XC monster that was summoned using this card in the field gains this effect. If it is XC summoned, it gains 1000 attack. That's actually considerably better than the other one's effect. The on-theme Exceed starts at 2000, so you get up to 3000, which is really high for a rank 3. That's Acid Golem level. And then the Grave effect is even better. You can banish this card from your graveyard, send 1 Phantom Knight card from your deck to your grave. You can only use each effect once per turn. So basically what you do is you'll banish this, send this to the grave, you can banish this, and then search for whatever. So very economical. And then the last level 3 for that attribute, for archetype I mean, is this one. This one helps facilitate your plays. It matches the other 2 quite nicely. So if you control a Phantom Knight monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So really easy to summon. You can only special summon once per turn this way. And then it also floats. So you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Phantom Knight spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. You can use that effect once per turn. So a little bit more limited than this, but it balances that out by being the way that you special summon it to actually make the rank phase. This is probably even more important than the other two just because it just facilitates plays. There's also 2 level 4 monsters in the theme, but I don't think they're very good compared to these 3, so I'm going to skip them. And here's the on-theme Exceed. This is probably like the best generic card in the set. It's possibly the best rank 3 that has ever been released, and on theme it's even better. So generic rank 3, and then once per turn you can detach 1 extra material from this card, target 1 card you control, and 1 card your opponent controls, destroy them. So it's Scrap Dragon, which is really good. Rank 3s don't really have, before this, is that much destruction. So you could handle back rows with Alucard and also the new Power Ranger card, but monsters were a lot tougher to remove. So now they actually have something that can do that. And then if this Exceed Summon card is destroyed, you can target 2 Phantom Knight monsters with the same level in your graveyard, special summon them, and increase their levels by 1. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for dark monsters. So, I mean, it floats just like the materials do, so that's really good for the theme. You can use this to just go into a rank 4, which is a little bit awkward, I guess. It'd be better if they could make rank 3s, but that would probably be asking too much because you just keep making this with them over and over again. So yeah, you'll have to play some level 4 darks to make use of that properly. And then the team also got a bunch of spell and trap cards. Most of them are kind of lackluster. There's 2 that I think are worth highlighting. So the best one is easily this one, Phantom Knight's Fogblade. This card could potentially warrant use generically in random decks, because the effect is pretty good. So you activate this card by targeting 1 effect monster on the field. Negate that face-up monster's effects. That monster cannot attack. Also, monsters cannot target that monster for attacks. So it's very much like Fiendish Chain, except for it's a little bit worse because you can't attack the monster. But if you need to run more than 3 Fiendish Chains in something, this is an option. And then in addition to that, obviously when the target leaves the field, destroy this card, like Fiendish Chain. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 Phantom Knight monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. Only uses this effect once per turn. So, well, the banish it when it leaves the field does not matter at all, because you're just going to be using it for rank 3, and then it's not going to be banished, because it doesn't leave the field when it's used as an Exceed material. So, it floats, and it's Fiendish Chain. So, Fiendish Chain that floats seems pretty good to me. Even though Fiendish Chain isn't as good anymore. And then we have Phantom Knight's Sword is the other one that I think is worth considering. All the other ones are kind of bad, at least relative to these 2. So activate this card by targeting 1 face-up monster in the field. It gains 800 attack. Also, if the target would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. And then if it leaves the field, destroy this card. So this is a lot of different things. 800 attack means you can get over a lot of stuff that you might not have been able to do before. If you have your Exceed at 3000, you can get up to 38. So you can get over almost anything at that level of attack. And then also, if they activate an effect to try to destroy your monster, you can just chain this, and this gets destroyed. And like the other spawn trap cards, it floats. So that gives it added benefit. The floating effect is the same as the other one. You can banish this card in your graveyard, target 1 Phantom Knight monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Banish it when it leaves the field, only once per turn. So, if you're using all of the floating stuff to banish to bring your guys back, that can help. So yeah, pretty good stuff for that. Okay, so the third archetype that is featured in this set is Raidraptors. So Raidraptors have already had a lot of their cards released in prior sets, and like a majority of the cards in here are just common reprints of cards that were in recent sets as commons, so it's kind of silly. So I'm not going to cover any of the reprint cards. I'm only going to be taking a look at the new cards. Just know that a lot of the good cards are cards that were already released. So what the deck is basically focused on doing is going into rank 4s, namely this guy. This is probably the best card in the set, even though the Phantom Knight is the best generic card. This isn't really as generically good. So they try to go into rank 4s, and then after that they try to rank up to 6, 8, and eventually 10. So this one is kind of a hand trap-ish. So if a Raidraptor monster you control battles, will you have any spell trap cards on your field or in your graveyard? During damage calc, you can special summon this card from your hand. 100 life points for each you control and in your graveyard. So it's kind of pointless. You're basically just ditching this to the graveyard, is what in effect what it is, and you just get life points, I guess. And then you tribute this card. Your opponent takes no battle damage this turn. Also, you special summon one Raidraptor Exceed monster from your extra deck in defense position. Its effects are negated and return to the extra deck at the end phase. You can only use this effect once per turn. So that seems really lackluster until you realize that they play a bunch of rank up cards. So you can basically just summon a really high rank, like an 8, and then go into a 10 using a rank up spell, or summon a 6, go into an 8. That's basically what this is for. It's a little bit awkward because to really get advantage of it, you have to use it during your turn. So you have to battle and then use this effect and then go into the thing in main phase 2. So it's super awkward in that sense, but it's actually really easy to get to the high rank stuff, which are really powerful. And then the next one, this is possibly the best main deck monster in the deck. So this is in effect Stratos for the deck. It even has the 1800 stats. It's level 4. So during your main phase, if this card is normal or special summon this turn, send one Raidraptor card from your deck to the graveyard. There's one that you can banish it from your graveyard to search your deck for any Raidraptor. So that's how it becomes Stratos. And it actually has a little bit extra flexibility because you can send other stuff too besides that. And then during your main phase 2, if this card was destroyed by opponent's monster by battle this turn, you can add one rank up magic. Quick play spell card from your deck to your hand. You cannot special summon monsters this rest of the turn except for Raidraptors. Each effect is only once per turn. So if your opponent has something that is weaker than this, you can just attack over it for a free +1 in addition to the search, so then it's like a +2. So this card is really good. Yeah, that's all there really is to it. Then we got 4 Strix. So this is the main monster that you go into in the deck. So it's a generic 4. It's 2000 defense, but only 100 attack. It gains 500 attack and defense for each winged beast monster you control, except itself. So it can get up to pretty high defense, but the attack probably not. Once per turn, you can detach one extra material from this card, add one level 4 dark winged beast type monster from your deck to your hand. So this is still good in stuff like Black Wings too, so it's pretty cool because it's somewhat generic in that sense. It's not like King of the Feral Imps though. It has to be a dark winged beast. It can't be any winged beast. So also has to be specifically level 4. But still, it's a really good card, being able to search your deck for basically any Raidraptor. There's a few that aren't level 4, but most of them are level 4s. So that's the main one. And then in the set, they're also coming out with one of the rank ups. So this is an 8, and this is one of the best ones. It's a really good effect. So you can summon it with 2 level 8 winged beast type monsters, but that's not practical. You basically summon this by ranking up the 6. You skip levels, so you go from 4 to 6 and 6 to 8. So if this card is exit summoned by using a Raidraptor monster as material, you can destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. The opponent can't activate cards or effects in response to that activation. So it's Harpy's Feather Duster that your opponent cannot respond to, which is ridiculous. Especially when you consider that all you really need to do to summon this is use this one to summon a rank 6, and then rank up into this. It's so easy to do that. And it's a really good effect. And then in addition to that, during either player's turn, you can detach one extra material from this card, target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 800 attack for each Raidraptor monster in your graveyard. So late game, that could put down to 0 attack quite easily, and that's a quick effect. This also has 3,000 attack, so this thing is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Really good monster. And then for spell support, they've got a few new ones in here. Raidraptor Call, this thing's okay. So you target one Raidraptor monster you control, special summon one monster with the same name as that monster from your hand or deck in defense. So you're going to summon it from the deck, obviously. And then you can activate one of these per turn. Cannot special summon monsters during this turn except for Raidraptors. It's a little unfortunate because you can basically only go into this, but still, it's good speed for the deck. Yeah, that's basically all there is to it. And then here's the one of the rank ups that we're getting in here. So it's called Rank Up Magic Doom Double Force. Unnecessarily difficult name. So you target one Raidraptor XC monster in your graveyard that was destroyed by battle and sent through this turn. Special summon it, and then special summon your extra deck one monster as twice the rank of that monster by using it as material. So basically, you go from 4 to 8, and I mean, this is kind of like your opponent can play around this. It's not the hardest thing to play around, but you can easily like trick them into destroying this, and then you get this. Alternatively, you can just crash this into one of your opponent's monsters to destroy it, and then go into this, basically forcing them into that. So that play can be a little awkward, especially because it has low attack, and you might take a lot of damage. But this thing is probably worth considering making. And then the other one that they're getting in here, Rank Up Magic Soul Shape Force. So pay half your life points out of cost. Target one Raidraptor XC monster in your graveyard. Special summon it with special summon from your extra deck. One XC that is 2 higher than that monster, using it as the material. So the life point cost is obviously somewhat balanced by the fact that it's getting it from your graveyard. So I mean, things that your opponent has already dealt with, and just bring it back, get something 2 higher, seems pretty good to me. And then there's one other new card in this set that's not any archetypes. It's kind of interesting, but seems awkward. So it's a normal trap, discard 1 card, set 1 continuous trap card from your hand or graveyard to your field, and that set card can be activated this turn. So basically, you're just reusing stuff that are set into the grave. Activating stuff from your hand is probably not worth it. You're basically wasting 2 cards to do it if you're doing that. But if you're getting it back from your grave, you're only wasting 1 because it's replacing itself, obviously. So probably not worth it, but kind of interesting. And then I'm gonna look real quick at a few of the reprints in this set. There's a lot of reprints, especially Exceeds. This is kind of Exceed focused, whereas the last set was Synchro focused with the Psy Frames and Red Dragon Archfiend and Speedroids. These 3 are all obviously Exceed based archetypes. So not all of the reprints are good, but there are some good ones. So Diamond Crab King is being reprinted in here, which means that Europe can finally use it. It is going to be a secret rare, so this might be kind of expensive. So it'll probably be like at least $10, I'm guessing. That's what the Ultra is at. And then there's first reprint of Exceed Reborn. This card is kind of expensive because it's only printed as a secret rare before. It's going to be super in here. So I think this is a pretty good card, and it'll be nice to be able to pick up copies of this for a lot cheaper. It'll probably be less than $1 eventually. And then also Harpy Harpist getting its first reprint. Not the most expensive card by any means, but it's a good card to have for Harpy ladies. It's a little weird that it's getting reprinted in here, but I guess it is technically kind of like support for Raidraptors. I don't know if they would ever play this though, but it can work in the deck. Another card that's getting reprinted for the first time is Swallow's Nest. This is an older card, comparatively speaking. And it's also wing-based support, and it's not bad. And it was only printed as a super before, so it'd be nice to have this printed and be easier to get. And then the last two I want to highlight are cards that have already gotten a couple prints, but they're still a little bit notable. So Silent Honor Arc is going to be in here. This is still kind of expensive going into this release, but this one is only a super rare, so it probably shouldn't be too bad. I'm guessing it'll be like $1. So goodbye value on Silent Honor Arc. It won't be expensive anymore. And then Rank Up Magic Astro Force is getting reprinted in here, obviously, because it works very well with the Raidraptors. So there's definitely a good chance that they'll be playing that. And yeah, so those are all the reprints. Overall, I'd say a pretty good set because the three archetypes it's focusing on all happen to be pretty good. I don't think that any of them will be like the best deck or anything, but I think that all three of them will be able to hold their own and see at least some play probably. And it's decent reprints. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to check out some other stuff.